Now, as we heard earlier, David Cameron has praised leading internet companies for announcing changes which will make it harder to access images of child abuse online. The search engines Google and Microsoft's Bing are to block results for 100,000 search terms in 158 different languages. It comes just months after the Prime Minister warned that companies would have action taken against them if they didn't comply. Labour's Helen Goodman welcomes David Cameron's intervention, but she says cutting police budgets isn't helping the fight against child abuse, and that needs to be looked at too.
We're also extremely concerned that the number of people being prosecuted for abusing children has also fallen. It's now down at 50% of the cases reported, and that is because the government has cut resources to the police, and that simply won't do.
Well, joining me now on the line is Keith McMean. Keith, how much difference do you think with your expertise this will make, blocking these search terms?
Hi, Megan. I think it'll make a big difference to what you would term as the low-level criminal. I suppose where it's really going to, if it is going to fall down, and I think it's a fantastic start, is that I wouldn't see like hardened paedophiles going onto Google and sort of Googling, child porn. That's where it's going to fall down, I think.
So for the hardened criminals, for the people who definitely want to find these images and will do anything to find them, it's going to make little difference?
I would have thought so, because they wouldn't use Google anyway. They would use a peer-to-peer system where they swap images or videos from computer to computer and not actually use something like Google to find them.
But I suppose where it will make a difference is, children particularly, who accidentally might search for something and up pops up an abusive image or an abusive link or something that really they shouldn't be privy to. Without
a doubt. I mean, I think that's where this will really score, because I think one of the things that will happen is, and one of the things that is happening, is that there'll be, if someone tries to access an improper image, then a warning will come up and say, do you want to carry on type of thing, and I think that's a great advancement.
So this is a good starting point then. You said that the measures are a great starting point, but where can we go now then to kind of tighten the regulations even further? These search terms, banning these 100,000 search terms, good for a kick-off, but what's next? What more could be done?
Well, I think what you've really got to do is you've got to target this at source. It's got to be the images and the videos that go up at source. Google and Bing are a great start, as we've said, but I think the servers and everything that these images are uploaded to, what's termed as the dark corners of the internet, the dark internet, that's where it needs to be targeted, I think.
And do you worry about the dark corners of the internet? Obviously, you're someone who's got a lot of knowledge on this sort of in this field, but do you worry about that? Do you worry about your family accessing those sites?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, because until this was brought in, anybody could access pretty much anything, and I think it's been proved down the years that a lot of people who commit violent crime, a lot of them have looked at really graphic images before the crimes have been committed. So I think it's a fantastic first step, and I think any parent, school teacher, anybody would welcome it.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because there are a lot of fantastic things that the internet lets us do that we couldn't do before. Information that we couldn't easily access, we can now do it with a few clicks of the mouse and a very quick search. But on the other hand, it does open up a lot of, really quite scary stuff. And I suppose it's about getting that balance right, not restricting the freedom of information, but, limiting it to stuff that's not harmful.
That's exactly right. And again, I think it's where this would really help is to try and target it at source. So I agree. I mean, I know when this first started off, that Google and Microsoft were a bit hesitant to start to block words and phrases, and because they were seeing it as like an infringement on your rights to search the networks. But I think something's got to be done, because there's just so much of it at the moment, and I think they've recognised that by relaxing their sort of thoughts on it. I think once this starts to happen, and the low-level ones that are probably the next step away from the sort of hardened images and the hardened videos, I think that's what needs to be targeted as well, the people that are just on that verge, and I think this will go a long way to do that.
Keith, thank you very much for joining us. I'm sure it'll be an issue that we talk about a lot in the future. Keith McMean there, talking about the news today that internet companies have announced changes which will make it harder to access images of child abuse. So not making it impossible, but making it a bit more difficult. Keith there saying that that's a step in the right direction.